Aloha and welcome to this exploration of aerial yoga. My name is Patrick Ferries and I'm coming to you from my home studio in Curtistown, Hawaii. Today I'd like to share something that I think is very important for us to understand when controlling our body's form, especially with inversions or standing in the fabric. These are the bandhas. Bandhas are essentially locks, and while we do have a few of them in our body, probably more familiar are the hasta bandhas, the hands, the pada bandhas, our feet. But these three bandhas that we're going to be discussing today are mula, uddiyana, and jalandhara. These are aligned in with our spine or sushumna nadi. So mula meaning root, essentially at our coccyx or our tail region of the spine. This, in essence, just means to root down. So when we're standing in Tadasana, our typical mountain pose with those nice, soft feet on the ground, open, externally rotated hips, you can feel that tailbone really just roots. You could almost say you can feel the center of the earth. So mula is just a very simple pose we can do anytime we want. Uddiyana is a little bit more unconscious. Uddiyana means to fly upwards, and it's more associated with our diaphragm, the way that we breathe in. Even though it feels like our chest is rising, our diaphragm is actually dropping. The way we breathe out, even though it feels like our chest is falling, our diaphragm is actually rising. So this idea of this unconscious muscle in our body, this is one of the spaces that makes yoga very unique, because when we yoke our breath and our body together, we're actively controlling this muscle that whether or not we want to control it, it will work for us. So from here, jalandhara is a little bit more of a subconscious concept, more closely associated with Vishuddha, our throat chakra. This is a space of ether, of akasha, of just space. Think of a blank canvas before you paint on it. So jalandhara loosely translates to he who carries water, or that kind of Aquarian vessel. We have our lower four chakras that you might be familiar with as Muladhara, Svadhisthana, Manipura, and Anahata in relationship to earth, water, fire, and air. But Akasha is something a little bit more transcendent. It's something that's more esoteric. How do you relate to these spaces? So let's just do a simple practice standing here with our hasta bandhas, our hands. Just make little fists like we're grabbing our fabric already and put them down by our hips. Shoulders really back, elbows tucked in as much as possible. Pretty open here, easy to grab. Let's move them up to the ribs. Might be getting a little more tight here. And then let's move them all the way up to the shoulders, even tighter still. So finding our breath in these 3 points, you'll be able to control a little bit more form in the fabric. Go into the fabric here. For safety, please make sure if you need a spot that they're nearby or a crash pad, we always want to work for safety in our capacity. So if you feel comfortable in your capacity, let's explore. We're going to take our foot, that pada, up into the fabric and just the center of the foot, not the toes, not the heel, just that center of the foot right into the fabric. You can feel how it can move around, maybe some beautiful stretches here. But let's reach up high with our hands, those hastas, and let's lock up really high. Let's push that foot out and let's start to walk up into the fabric. I'm going to lift my grounded leg and, I'm swinging. So with that grounded foot, let's find our center point to make sure that we're nice and safe. Tapping that foot on the ground just until you're not swinging anymore, and then looking up, because of course we're going to go up. We want to know where we're going. We're going to step high with that grounded leg like there's a wall in front of us. We're going to pull the body up into a plank, bending the elbows as we come forward. Still foot is out there so that the weight more evenly distributes, and I'm not swinging as I get up, which is really nice. Now, if you noticed where my hands were, they were already generally in that space of my shoulders. But we're going to get more intention here, grabbing right by the shoulders, and maybe those elbows are out. So let's try to tuck those elbows down. One extended leg of your choice. And as we go back again, This is about as far as I can go. Maybe I can reach even further with that flying leg. If you can do the splits, maybe you can even get a little weight behind you. But turning upside down here is not as easy. So this is an easy pose for us to get up into the fabric, this space up here, that Jalandhara. As we come down to Uddiyana, we're going to have a little bit more leeway. Again, holding tight, elbows in, and as I lean back, I can go a lot further back. I can make this a little bit more of a plank. Notice how the weight distribution feels, pulling the body back up. So if we could only go a little ways, and then if we could go a lot more, what happens when we grab our hips? Well, let's find out. Grabbing good and tight, making sure those elbows are nice and tight. As we come back, oh, I can go upside down entirely. So here with our shoulders especially, if we're concaved in the shoulders, we might not have good structure. Roll those shoulders back. Our hips are locked. Our shoulders can move. One of the beautiful points here. Coming back up. So being aware of those 3 points, Mula, Uddiyana, and Jalandhara, and just how our weight distributes there. Even just coming down and sitting in the fabric. You can feel that nice weight distribution as I come back, maybe a little lower. Or of course, if I want to put that fabric below my hips, legs always wide, finding that nice form. Coming back, legs always wide if we invert. So again, that space of Muladhara, that nice form, bringing the body back up. Knowing these 3 points are within the core of our body. I hope you enjoyed that exploration. Thank you for joining, and if you like, please subscribe.